Is Laila should come also.
Yeah.
She has so many questions. Uh, Miskin. She has a
Let's just get back to sit and go.
Okay, Bismillah. Mm, connect this.
So it's 9 o'clock in Singapore.
It's 9 o'clock in Singapore. So alhamdulillah. Because I put it at first later because of Rawha. I don't like missing the Sahih Bukhari. I'm following the Sahih Bukhari. So like I don't like missing Sahih Bukhari. Habib doing Sahih Bukhari every Saturdays. So I don't like missing it. So and alhamdulillah. Inshallah. Um, okay, Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We can start our class. Bismillah. Okay, let me just share. Hmm, I'll make someone else the co-host, Qaida co-host. Can make Abreji as a co-host. Okay, tamam. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لحظة أبدا على نعم الله وأفضاله اللهم آتنا من لدنك رحمة وعلمنا من لدنك علما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نوعنا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافيتي يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وما بعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرة الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين آمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين 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 يا رب العالمين الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله we're continuing with our class, right? So I don't know if there are any new people here, right? But you can announce on the groups. for those, if it has not been announced, maybe someone can announce in the groups that we have begun the class, right? So just announce, announce on the groups. You can announce for all of them to come in. Then I'll just do like a very brief, very quick revision on what we have taken so far, because we're coming to the end of the book. Right? So going to do a khatam, then inshallah, I can compile what we have translated in this book and make it into an English book, right? So inshallah, it can be something that is published, something that is they can be sold, right? Inshallah, right? So this is how we translate things. We just teach them. Right, so you want things to be translated, you teach it. Like you want books to be. I know there was once there was a particular book that this bookstore bought. Bought in bulk, and it wasn't really moving. No one was buying this book because no one knew what the book was about, right? So all you have to do is have a class on the book, and it sold out. And this is what we did. We just had a class, and then the book sold out. After 1 year of the stock, a thousand of this copies were in the bookstore, but no one knew the significance of the book or the greatness of the book. So it wasn't bought. It was quite expensive as well. It was quite costly. Right? It was a necklace of pearls. So people didn't know. People didn't know it was expensive. People didn't know the greatness of this book, and mashallah. So I know that the people they spoke to me, and I was like, just do a class. You do a class, you go buy the book, because people don't know what the book's about. So they won't buy the book just like that. But if you do a class and you explain it, people buy the book. SubhanAllah. Books are being produced through classes. Right? So because I'm teaching this class, therefore I'm forced to, I'm forcing myself to translate. If I don't teach a class, I'll never sit down and translate this book. Inshallah. The benefits of doing classes, online, right? That you end up, you end up translating everything, inshallah. So this is one of the books, inshallah, we hope to produce by the end of the year, as soon as Tazkirah Hadramiyah, right? And the whole point of producing books is that once you have learned this, you can hold the book and you can teach it to others, right? It's easier, right? As opposed to like you have your notes here and there, how I teach this. Yes, I plan to, inshallah, finish Tazkirah Hadramiyah as well. Right? Where are the South Africans? Call the South Africans in. Right, they're all here, right? They're all studying. Where are they? Tell them, come. They're the Shafi'i, English-speaking Shafi'i in the world. And we were just discussing that only two groups of, maybe, I don't know, Allah Alam. I mean, there might be more, but mainly two groups of English-speaking Shafi'is in the world. The Singaporeans and the South Africans. They're very alike. They're very alike in a lot of ways. The Malay-speaking and the Malaysians, Indonesians. But the English-speaking Shafi'i, because all the rest of the Western world, they're all Hanafi, and we're the only Shafi'i English-speaking people. No, mashallah. So just to go like a very brief overview, okay? The first lesson, right? We went through the different types of bloods, and so basically everything that you can call whatever comes out of you, right? Of color, and it has to be of color, right? Subhanallah. The other day I had someone ask a question, and Miskeen, very poor thing, this girl, mashallah, she just came in from Umrah. And really, this is why we need to learn this properly and spread this knowledge. She just came in from Umrah, she was asking me some questions, this lady, right? And then she was basically worried about her Umrah, whether it was counted or not, right? So she was worried about her niyyah, and I was saying her niyyah is fine, is correct, her ihram's fine, is correct. Like she used some atar, okay, halas, there's some any dam on the ihram, I see you go and pay some fine, because of the ihram. And then she said something to me. She said that, on some days she forgets to take her pills, taking pills to stop her menses. So nowadays, you don't have to take pills to skip the cycle. You can actually take pills to delay the menses. So for as long as you take these pills, the menses is kept in your womb and does not fall out. Right? So once you stop the pills, it falls out. Right? I know nowadays you can actually do that, right? You can do that. So in the past, it used to be you have to stop the ovulation, right? And then you kind of miss a period. Now you can actually take a pill to kind of like hold the menses. And until you're done with your Umrah, then you take the pills and you stop taking the pills and the menses flows naturally. I think it can hold up to like about a week or 2 weeks or something. You can hold it back for a week or 2 weeks. So she was doing the pills, and she said some days she forgets to take it, and then she would see some brown stains, her brown stains, and she'll quickly take it, and it stops. And then like maybe 1 or 2 days pass, and then she forgets again, or is delayed in taking it again, and she sees some brown stains again, and she quickly takes it. Yeah, it's hate lah. It's hate. The whole thing is hate. She's going to hate already. Khalas. Once the brown comes out, you're in hate, right? And she takes it again, right? And then it stops. right? And then after her entire Umrah, she stops the pills and the head flows. And I'm like, when did this brown begin appearing? And she said, like for example, she's on the 31st of July. And I said, was there 15 days of clean before that? She says, yeah, like many days of clean before that, right? More than 15 days, definitely. Then she said 31st of July. And I said, when do you go for Umrah? On the 1st of August. And she did 3 Umrahs. She actually did 3 Umrahs, assuming that whenever she forgets and she takes the pills and it stops the brown, right? That she's tahir. She assumed that she's clean because her Umrah was 4 days. So you imagine, 31st of July, before she went for Umrah, right? She takes these pills, right? No, she forgets. She first takes the pills. She gets the brown. Okay. And then she sees the brown, she takes the pills straight away, it stops the brown. Right? She takes the ihram, she does Umrah, right? And the next day, she forgets again, right? And the brown comes out a bit more. She takes the pills again. And she does another Umrah the following day and the following day. And then she ends her Umrah, right? And she flies off, she stops taking the pills, and now the blood flows. So on the 4th of August or the 5th of August, now flow of blood, right? which means that when did her menses begin? 31st, right? 31st July, menses began, and the flow of blood went on till the 11th of August. So which means the whole thing is menses. Because eventually it was a flow on the 4th of August, right? So that she fulfilled the 24 hours by the 4th of August. Had she kept it till the 15 days past, technically you can, then it's not counted as menses because then doesn't fulfill the 24 hours of menstrual flow. But she let the menstrual flow on the 5th August. And it flowed all the way to the 11th and it stopped. So technically, from the 31st of July, Miskin, this lady, mashallah, till the 11th of August, she was on menses. The entire time she was on menses. So I had to break it to her. I was like, your 3 Umrah, you are on menses. All 3 Umrah, you were on menses. From the time this is the thing about knowing colors. This is why I went through the first part on the different bloods. What's the brown? What is the brown? Colors, right? Colors of menses, subhanAllah. So basically she has to pay dam for all of the breaking of the umrahs without performing umrah, because all of her tawaf are not counted because she was on menses the entire time. And she took ihram and she broke ihram, and took ihram and broke ihram, and took ihram and broke ihram. Right. Oh, it's a big headache, ya Allah. And I asked her that, do you do the intention of ihram with the conditional ihram? You can in there's a conditional ihram where you don't actually have to pay the dam if you break it. Right. And she said she do it for the first one, but number 2 and number 3 she forgot. I said, oh, Allah. Okay, tamam. Right, then I just said to her, okay, I gave her the link to all these classes. Please learn, please. And it's just one case from many cases, right? Many people don't know that brown is menses, right? And they pray right through brown until they see red. And then when they stop seeing red, they bathe and they start praying again, and they're seeing brown. And which means that when the brown actually stops and they are in it didn't take the ghusl. So when the brown stops and they are now clean, there's no ghusl, and the whole all their salat, ya Allah, all the way through, all not counted. Ya Allah, this is how Baba will always say, Al-ilmu nur, right? Knowledge is light, wal jahl dhalam, like ignorance is darkness, and sometimes when I ask my students, like, people who ask me questions online and stuff like that, like where have you learned the laws of menses? And they say, oh, we read some stuff online. No, laws of menses have to be studied. You must study. Wajib on every woman to come and study laws of menses. You don't know when the istihadhah will strike. Now and you're in like a fix. What do I do? Yeah, and I mean she and then our other friend also, having random, our Singaporean friend. Nah, I'm online, right? But it's all the people who have stopped breastfeeding or breastfeeding, and the body is going haywire because of the breastfeeding, right? Haywire because of breastfeeding. And then the menses comes out, the body's confused, what's going on, what's happening, and the body's letting out like bits and bits of menses and stopping a bit and then continuing a bit. The body's confused because so many so many hormones going on. So you went through the age of menses, you went through, so all of these things are important for us to go through, right? Purity, knowing what is purity, still many questions that I've seen online, right? On our Padlet. I'm still keeping tabs on the Padlet. Inshallah, I will answer the questions on the Padlet. Right? So many questions still on purity, right? On how do I know I'm pure? How do I know I'm pure? Right? Subhanallah. Inshallah, you ask Allah for clarity and yaqeen, and go through the classes over and over again, okay? So those who are new here, right, in this class, this is all we've gone through so far. We went through Nifas as well, right? All about the definition of Nifas. Nifas, see baby, because of the babies, because of the baby, the mother is going through a lot of okay. The mother's like, I have to know all this because of you. MashaAllah, because you and your milk. And then the mother's menses all over the place. Ya Allah, all confused, mashallah. And then what is prohibited again in Haid and Nifas, we went through all of this. So this is like a brief summary of what we've gone through so far. For those who are new, right? Can someone share the link to the WhatsApp, to the what do you call this? What do you call this? Someone those who are new, right? Can you share the link to the what do you call this? YouTube, right? To the YouTube, right? So share the link to the YouTube, right? So that you can follow the classes, right? So if you go to my YouTube right now, but if you go to my YouTube, you go to the subscriptions, you find Making Sense of Menses. Please follow from the beginning. Please follow from the beginning to be very clear on this method. I will open up Padlet today, inshallah. Right. So in Istihadhah and all the methods to do with Istihadhah. And we are right now on number 7, Istihadhah in Hayd. We have one more chapter, which is Istihadhah in Nifas, and the book ends. That's it. Right. But these 2 chapters are the big chapters. Yeah, Istihadhah in Nifas. Istihadhah in Nifas. Yeah. That means anyone who goes beyond 60 days. Oh, I have had people on your first pregnancy, the first nifas it went way past 60 days. And this is where the headache comes in. Yeah, and then it goes past 3 days, and then you're confused now on what to do. And women who think that menses has to be or nifas has to be 40 days, right? And they actually finish their nifas after 20 days. And they just didn't also because everyone tells them it has to be 40 days. So they just stay without praying for 40 days. And this is why Hababa Maryam will say, Al-ilmu nur, right? Knowledge is light, wal-jahl dhalam, and ignorance is darknesses. Okay, we are on the 7, can we just do a bit of revision on Istihadhah, okay? There are 7 cases of Istihadhah. Okay, so all those of you here who are new, right? I would really recommend that you follow from the beginning, right? So you go to the YouTube and listen from the beginning, right, to the YouTube, right? So go to the YouTube and hear. So and hear from the beginning these classes, right? But I guess you can learn Istihadhah at this point because I'm only speaking on Istihadhah, right? MashaAllah. Okay, but try to learn everything else from the beginning, okay? And I'll go to the pattern, inshallah, after I cover today's material, right? So just a revision. And we now making the slideshow. Okay. Okay, tamam. So we have terminologies here for you to be familiarized with. So as I said, all these terminologies, try and memorize what they mean. Okay, so the mubtada'ah, because I'm going to speak about the 7 cases of istihadhah. I said, right, the istihadhah today. So the 7 cases of istihadhah. There is mubtada'ah, first timer, right? This also you will find the same situations for nifas as well. So many of us, we are not mubtada'ah for menses. We have had at least one cycle of menses. With regards to nifas, many women will be mubtada'ah for nifas. Their first pregnancy, they need to record what's going on in the first pregnancy, the first nifas, right? Because if anything happens that is not normal, right? I will have to ask you for your records on your nifas, right? So for mubtada'ah, for first time menses, it's mubtada'ah. For a mu'tada is an experienced woman who has had at least one menses in her life. And she said at least one menses. So even, for someone like right now, our friend, one of our friends here in Tarim, right, she her last menses, right, was before she got pregnant. Okay, so after giving milk for almost 2 years, and 9 months before that, right, there was the last menses. So now, if she's going through istihadhah, right, and if the bloods are all confusing, right, and there's no differentiation in the blood, I have to ask her, what was your norm? Which norm? 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, right? 2 years plus 9 months, about 2.5 years ago. What was this norm? So what was the norm? Right? Because you have to go back to the norm. Like when was the last norm? Mashallah. And you must remember, right, the last menses that you got. And as you mentioned a few times before, that some women can go for 5-10 years with no menses because they get pregnant, they breastfeed, they get pregnant again, and they breastfeed, pregnant again, and breastfeed. Then they go for years and years and years with no blood inside. Then all of a sudden, the blood comes when they start getting pregnant. And so when you ask them, when is your last menses? They have no clue. And what happened then? Cannot remember. Like, what's the normal days? Don't know. And that's where you have the example later on, the mutahayyirah, the confused woman, because she cannot remember anything. She's confusing herself and confusing everybody else. But it's not her fault. It's not her fault. She just got pregnant and kept giving milk and got pregnant and kept giving milk. Miskin. So the mu'tadah is the experienced woman. In both cases, she could be one of the following cases. Mumayyazah. Mumayyazah is always the first line of ruling. You try and differentiate the bloods. That's always our first line of defense. We try and differentiate the bloods, right? If you cannot differentiate, then we go into her norm. غير مميزة, that means the one whose bloods can't be differentiated, and we go into her norm. Then there are special cases called the mutahayyirah, and the mutahayyirah, the confused woman, right? And we go into what's with her, the confused woman. Poor confused woman. It's quite funny how the fiqh, they call it mutahayyirah, confused woman. Maybe the ulama are like, she's so confusing. And she's confused, and everyone's confused. No, mashallah. And it is labeled her the confused woman. Mashallah. It's a fake terminology. Interesting. So, yeah, mashallah. So, the difference between mustahada and a woman remaining on days of purity is a very important concept. Every person, every woman must have a minimum of 15 days of salat. You must. Wajib. Regardless of what happened in the previous cycle. So if someone will say, oh, my previous cycle, it dragged on for many, many days. So therefore, I began my tuhur later. And then now my next menses eats into my tuhur. So do I stop praying? Do I not pray? The rule is no matter what. Once you have begun your tuhur, you must pray for 15 days, regardless of the previous cycle. So many women, they say that, I had a draggy menses, and it went beyond, maybe it hit 11 or 12 days. So within the 15 days, maybe it stopped at 12 day 12 or day 13. Then they had their tuhur. Tuhur by day 12, the blood came back, fresh blood. So they say maybe the tail end of the previous menses was not actually menses, the tail end. There is no alaqah. There is no link. Like one cycle and the next cycle are separate cycles. So you can't, go backtrack, right? Because it's done. You didn't pray for those days, the mental days, right? So now what you do in the heavy parts of your cycle, you have to pray, right? So we don't say anything about her except that she must finish the 15 days of salah. Must. She has to. Right, so that's why there's a difference between the one who is the mustahada, who has continuous menses, more than 15 days, and the one who did not finish the 15 days of purity. You must finish the 15 days of purity. It's wajib, no matter what happened in the previous menses. Right, you must finish it. Right. So it's a very important matter to not confuse the two. So mustahada specifically is someone who has like a long-running menses and it's not ending. Right, the one who is baqiyat ala tuhur, or the one who has remained in purity, she is the one whose days of purity are too short, between two cycles. So for her, it's regardless of the previous cycle, she must complete her 15 days of prayer in her heavy bleeding, right? Even her fasting, she has in Ramadan and so on, she has to do it. And she has to find the cure, what's going on. Right? Probably the issue is that the previous menses is draggy, right? The bleeding was draggy. Okay, we went through this previously, right? So it's all just revision. So all the scenarios I've gone through before. I'm for this person, remember the reading. So if she had gone through 15 days, her first ever menses, 15 days, no, no end in sight, the blood. The miskin is this girl. So first menses, the blood didn't stop, it's continuous. It's not differentiable. It was like, for example, red the whole time from start to end, more than 15 days, and she has not had a single before that. It's her first menses. So we have no choice but to give her the minimum menses, which is 24 hours. So she must cover her prayers from day 2 to day 15. That she missed prayers. Right? She must cover. Right? It's a rare case, inshallah rare. Right? But yeah, but have your girls write down, okay? Right? If it's their first menses, please record. So at least they fall under mumayyiz. That I can tell their bloods where where is Istihadhah. But if eventually it is all red, you can't tell, then more reward for her to for the days for that. Mashallah, miskin hadi. But she gets a reward. Inshallah. Yes, come with me. In Singapore, she was saying that her daughter, now she's 9 years old. And so just got her menses, 9 years old. And she feels so weird not praying. Because first time in your life, you're not praying. Suddenly, cannot pray, not praying, so weird. It's like, welcome to puberty, alhamdulillah. You're gonna come, and then this is the beginning of it. You're gonna have to figure out when you're clean, when you have to bathe, the whole world of menses until you menopause. And again, with menopause, a whole load of issues, you know. Menopause. But menopause itself is a headache for some people. It will not just stop like that. It has like a bit stop. Bit stop. Like the ending, the tail end of the world of menses. Mashallah. Ya Allah, make it easy for us for menopause, make it easy, Ya Allah. I know how Maryam, I think a few years ago when I was here, right? Suddenly, because she menopause a long time ago. So there was one time I went to class and I was like, we pray. And she was like, Jat. Like she got she was like, and Sana, what? She menopause years ago. And all of a sudden in the 60s, a cycle came. Random cycle appeared. It can happen. It can happen. And she went back into menses. And she was like, I could see it, I could see her face. She was like, mashallah. My mother also, she 1 whole year no menses, Ramadan menses. Yeah, Allah. Just Umrah. She was going for 1 whole year no menses and Umrah menses. Yeah, Allah. This is all a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us women, all the tests. The whole year, no menses. I go for Umrah, then the menses came. Yeah, Allah. You think you're menopausing and then it appears. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. So this is the may Allah make it easy for us. The beginning of this life of menses and of the menses life and our nifas and everything. So we're actually at number 4, number 5, number 7, right? So Mu'tada, right, the one who has had at least one menses from before. Mumayyiza, the blood is differentiable. Mu'tada, the one who has had one menses before, right, but non-differentiable. We're actually here. Then we have 5 consistent. Women forgot the usual day of a period, forgot how many days, forgot everything. Everything she forgot. Probably someone who's been giving birth and giving milk. Okay, probably this person. That's why she's so confused because it's been years she had her menses. So it's normal. It is normal. So she's not. It's not her fault. Also, it's not her fault because it's like when mashallah. Right, the mutahayyara who remembered when she usually gets the menses. Because most people they remember like it's the first week of the month, right? Or second week of the month. They cannot remember when usually, right, for the period, but how many days usually. The other mutahayyara remembers usually how many days, but forgot like which part of the month she gets the period. That's the other mutahayyara. There are three types of mutahayyara. Right? One completely have no clue, right? When it starts, how many days, no clue. Right. The other one, yeah, I think it was about 7 days before. Usually it was 7, 8 days around there. Right. But I don't know which part of the month. And then number 7 is yeah, mashallah, the confused woman. So we went through all of this previously, right? So I'm just going to read the rate ruling. The strong, not today's revision of what we have been doing all this while. The strong blood. So just a reminder, all questions on Padlet. Okay, all questions, put it up onto Padlet unless your question is a clarification of what's on the slides. Right? So if you're clarifying what's on the slides, then you can ask questions here. Right? But if it's a case but you don't know the ruling of it, you can put it on the Padlet. Now, the strong blood is menses, right? So for anyone who's mumayyiza, for anyone who has differentiable bloods, right? She says strong blood and then weak blood. Then she says red, right? It's a strong blood, or black, strong blood. And I just met a few people who have black blood. Yeah, I was always wondering who gets black blood. Don't wonder, you're gonna once this actually got you're the one I met. Yeah, I always knew there's black blood. I was like, who gets black blood? Yellow blood. I get yellow blood. Yeah, the tail end of menses is yellow blood. And it's like the plasma of blood. Yeah, it's plasma. Right. But I met a few people now who will say they actually get black blood. It's black. It's actually black. Interesting, eh? MashaAllah. So, but because we always find it in fiqh and you're always wondering who gets black blood. Apparently, I know what women do. They get black blood. Red blood, brown blood, and then you have there's actually orange. There's an orange blood. People get orange blood, right? Allahu alam, because these bloods are all cleansing the woman's body, which is why it said that women we have a natural hijama, right? Our cycle cleanses our body, right, from the toxins inside of us. So and it's one of the signs that if you are having draggy menses, usually it's because you're having so much toxins in your body's trying to throw out these toxins. So it's draggy because you're eating too much nonsense. Maybe too much chemicals, all the chemical chips, chemical ice cream and chocolates, and it's all going to your body trying to throw out all the chemicals. So it's making your menses all draggy. Ya Allah. May Allah make us cleanse our bodies and our heart, inshallah. Right, so the weak blood drags on. The weak blood is istihadhah. There are conditions which I have gone through all of them, right? There are the conditions of knowing if somebody's bloods are differentiable. Right, so remember we went through all 4 of them, all revision again. We went through all 4 of them. Okay, I'm just going to continue. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of it all over again. Please go to the previous slides, to the previous lessons. Then we have the mubtada al-mumayyiza. Now we've got this already scenarios all gone through. Strong and weak bloods, we've gone through strong and weak bloods as well, right? I'm going to go to today's material. So غير مميزة, this means that her bloods are not differentiable, meaning she did not fulfill the conditions we went through in mumayyiza. This is all we have gone through from before, all right? She didn't have the conditions of it. So for her, right, we must give her message to be 24 hours. Right, and this is the first day of bleeding, and her purity is 29 days. So we give her the minimum menses, and then 29 days as purity. This is based on the fact that minimum haid is 24 hours. So only 24 hours has yaqeen that it is haid. The rest of it, we don't know what it is. So therefore, qada. Right? Qada all of the prayers from day 2 to day 15. If she missed a prayer. So she must record so we can see is she mumayyiza or not. Right? That is the entire thing. This will happen again for nifas. And for nifas, it's even worse. Right? 60 days. And nifas, minimum nifas is lahada. A moment is minimum nifas. So she's only given a moment of nifas. And for 60 days, she needs to qada, right, her prayers if her bloods are not differentiable. right? So she needs to record her nifas, so as not to fall into this, situation of doing a qada for 60 days, right? So, then he went into mu'tada. So mu'tada is someone who has had menses before, and her bloods are differentiable. We don't look at her norm, we look at her bloods. Okay, so whenever you can differentiate the bloods, it's always the first level of ruling, right? Only when you can't differentiate, then you go to the norm, right? So we look at the ruling of tamyiz, of a bloods differentiable, right? And you don't look at the norm, okay? Right, so unless the minimum purity occurred in the bloods, then norm is good. And I explained all of this in the slides, right? That we went through the scenarios. Tamam. Okay, so for the one who is not mumayyiza, right, I'm going to quickly because we control all of this, right? So right now we are here. Okay, we are here. So let me just this one. Right, so the ruling is the one who has had menses before, her bloods are not differentiable, meaning that they don't fulfill the conditions of differentiating bloods. Right, so she has the ruling of her norm. So what's her norm? That is what is given to her. So this is from the proof of whereby a woman who had continuous bleeding came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when he asked about her and the ring on her, she said, Ya Rasulullah, there is no difference in the blood. Right? It's one blood, one color, the entire how many days. Right? So continuously same color blood. Right? Of course, she's not well. If someone who's experiencing this, you're not well. And you must find solution. Right? What's going on with you? Right? And this is why the laws of istihadhah are very troublesome. So you don't sit in istihadhah month after month after month. No one likes being istihadhah. Right? It's very, very troublesome. You can't keep wudu, you cannot pray on the go, you have to keep washing yourself, you're half the time confused, right? So and it's meant to be difficult. So you're forced to pull yourself out of the situation. Do something about it. I find medication, change your diet, cleanse yourself, do hijama, a lot of things to try and fix, right? What's wrong with this, with your system, your womb, right? Now, right. So he says, Allah Azam, look at the number of days she used to have menses, and number of days she will be clean before this happened to her, and tell her to pray accordingly. So here is the proof from the Prophet Azam, meaning follow her norm. Right, follow her norm. So the ruling is known by how is norm established? By the very last cycle. Only one cycle. You just need one cycle to establish norm, right? So what was the last normal cycle? That is a norm, right, of a person. So hence, if a woman has been having menses for 5 days for the past year, so whole year, every single month was 5 days. Then the very last month, her menses was 9 days, right? 9 days of menses. Right, then the month after that, it went to 15 days. Right, the whole thing went, exceeded. Right, so that with no differentiable bloods at all. And so then we say to her that her norm is 9 days, even though for the whole year it was 5 days. Right, but the very last month was 9 days. So she's given 9 days as a menses and has to make up all the other days of istihadhah. So you don't say that istihadhah is only after 15 days. No. Right? It's only when you exceed 15 days, then now alert you're in istihadhah. Right? And you have to figure out when the istihadhah began. It could have begun within the 15 days. Yes. So if you can differentiate the bloods, like for example, what we took earlier on, if the first 7 days was red and then yellow, or maybe a lighter color, right, from day 8 all the way out to day 20, right, then your menses is only on the first 7 days. That is the one who is, mashallah, that is the one who is mumayyiza. But the one who's like red all the way or brown all the way, no difference, or red, brown, red, brown, red, brown, red, brown, red, brown, like the colors all are messed up. So you're not on you don't fulfill the conditions, of menstruation, of mumayyiza. Then you say, what was your norm? Norm means previous cycle, the very last cycle. What's the norm then? She says 9 days. Is it okay? 9 days is your menses, and then you have 6 days to qada your prayers. You must qada the series of prayers. And she says, no, but the whole year is in 5 days. Only the last menses was 9 days. Doesn't matter. We only look at the previous cycle. Right? That is your norm. Yeah, 6 days to qada, right, for you. Subhanallah. Menses, mashallah. This is why you want to get out istihadhah. You want to get out of istihadhah. You don't want to stay and have rida of istihadhah. No, get yourself out. Do something about it. Take medication, But the problem is that I find with regards to Western medication and istihadhah, and again, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't actually see continuous small amounts of brown discharge to be a problem. They don't actually see that. Because to them, if you say I have continuous menses, they say, what, do you bleed the entire time? They say, no. The bleeding maybe 3 days, but like small drops of brown, small drops of brown, small drops of brown, that continues for 20 days. It makes you not the person, because every single day, brown, 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 in a small amount, does not affect your health in a way, in a sense, you're not weakened. If you're bleeding full blood, for the entire time, you're weakened because there's so much blood coming out, right? But most women who's in istihadhah, it's a matter of like, your discharge just is brown all the time. So in the medical sense, it's not an issue. Because for them, menses is red. There's the blood that comes out. The brown between before and after is nothing. It just, pass from your womb. But for the Islamic sense, I can't pray. And it's a big problem for me. And how do I stop this brown? I want to stop the brown. So for them, it's not an issue. This brown discharge is not an issue. This goes into your liner and then it's through the liner, right? For us, it's like, I cannot pray, I cannot fast. I need to stop this brown, mashallah. Right? So I know homeopathy has medication to stop this brown. I know also for me, when I do water fasting, it does help me stop the brown, right? So water fasting, yeah, it means you just drink water. It is a very big, tough fight against enough to do water fasting. But it does work. It does work. I found it to be effective, right? To just drink water. And then it kind of like stops your bleeding, which tells you that you're eating a lot of nonsense. You stop eating, your body begins to fix itself, mashallah. Right. So right, so it says to her that you have to make up the other days. So there are other situations that we will look at now, right? So the first principle is that, so there is a situation whereby she has a pattern that stretches across several months. So if she records, she sees that in the first month, menses 5 days, second month 7, third month 6, then it repeats 5, 7, 6, 5, 7, 6. If she notices this is going on, like every 3 months, there seems to be a pattern. She can act on this. She acts on this. So it's like first month 5, 7, 6. Then you go to get 5, 7, 6. Then you go to get 5, 7, 6. For example, or some people, they go in and out. For me, I have this with every other month. So 1 month it will be 18 days. Next month 10, then 18, then 10, then 18, then 10. So I've seen this going on. So for me, basically the 18 days is istihadhah. So I go on 10 days. So I know that my month is 10 days, right? So because of this pattern going on, right? But the 18 days is all istihadhah lah. For in the situation is 5, 7, 6 is all within the days of menses. She can act on this. Right? So if this month she had 7 days, right? The following month should be 6. Following the pattern, it should be 6. But the following month, something happened, it dragged, right? And usually stress in travel, stress in work, even emotional stress, right? In divorces and fights and so on. All the woman's womb is so sensitive. Anything that happens to her, the womb is the first one to show. Something's not right with you right now. I'm going to go haywire. Subhanallah, the woman, it is natural. Come in. So it is natural for the woman to have all these issues. So our womb is the most sensitive organ. If we have any illness, we have any stress, we have any even emotional problems, sadness, everything, your womb will begin to respond, like in this way. So the sensitive organ, mashallah. So which is why don't be surprised. When suddenly when you're so used to 5 days of menses, all of a sudden 15 days, or 16 days, because you're going through something. Maybe you travel a lot in this particular time period, or maybe the exam stress, or maybe a lot of things. I know someone, she went through Dawra stress. The Dawra gave her stress. Ya Allah. And so her menses went woo, like out of the, it went over the place. Dara stress, mashallah. We need to do try to calm ourselves down, mashallah. It takes 6 days to be on menses, right, in the following pattern, right? She follows the pattern. So however, if there is no pattern, but number of days fluctuate, that means she has like, so for example, she has no pattern. She has like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, and then like, it just goes all over the place, right? The pattern. Then she takes the very last month as her norm, right? right? But she remains on ihtiyab, right, to the maximum possible days of her norm. Okay, what is ihtiyab? So okay, I'm going to explain this part, okay? For example, her menses days is really all over the place, right? So some months is 3 days, some months is 5 days, and 7 days, and 1 day, and 2 days. And then the days all over the place. There's no pattern whatsoever. So now comes a month, it goes to 16 days, 17 days. So she knows she's on istihadhah, right? And it's not mumayyizah, she can't tell the difference in the blood. So she goes to her ada. Okay, so now in her ada, she checks the last month, okay, it was 5 days, right? It was 5 days in the last month. But she knows that she has ever had before 9 days. Okay, it has happened before in the previous months that one of the months was 9 days, of menses. So the previous month was 5 days. Okay, this is one opinion. There are two opinions on this situation. The first opinion is very easy. Act on 5 days. That was the previous month. 5 days was your menses. The rest of the time, it was istihadhah, 10 days istihadhah. You get it, eh? The other opinion is that because her body has ever had menses that was 9 days, so it could be 9 days. So now they are this drilling of ihtiyat. What is ihtiyat? Like she bathes at 5 days following the previous month, but for 4 days until her maximum possible days of menses from what she has ever experienced before, right? She still prays and worships, but stays away from intercourse. So she's on menses and not on menses. Get it? So she's on menses with regards to intercourse and not on menses with regards to worship. You're praying and you say no intercourse. What's going on? My husband's gonna be like, "Are you?" Is it ihtiyat? And he's like, "What? It's ihtiyat." I learned a new word. Ihtiyat. Mashallah. Basically, is what you say. You are careful on both ends. In case you're still on menses, right? You don't have intercourse. But most women, they will probably go through the entire 15 days. Then they realize on istihadhah anyway, and they do a qadha anyway. But this is what on a woman who wants to act on her on the pattern. So she wants to bathe on day 5. She wants to bathe on day 5, right? And then she just stays away from intercourse till day 9 because it's the maximum possible number of days on day 9, right? It's basically I'm on menses, and then he asks about you pray. Mashallah. It's the same thing as I was sharing with Sarah about breastfeeding, because there aren't many madhabs about breastfeeding. So in the Shafi'i madhab, you have to do 5 full feeds to the child for the child to be your mahram. And the milk. There are madhabs where by 1 drop of milk, the child becomes mahram. 1 drop. So on both ends, right, you can see you're going to be strict, right? You're going to be strict. So for example, if you give a child milk and you're not sure it was 5 feeds, right? So maybe you give, come in. Maybe you give, like I know one, my sister-in-law, she gave 4 feeds. The 5th feed, the child slept. Child fell asleep. So they didn't have 5 full feeds, right? Child fell asleep, didn't drink the milk. So she asked, so now how? Is a child her mahram or not mahram? Right? So the answer is you take, it's like ihtiyat, you take both opinions. So he's mahram in a sense that no marriage to your children. Right? Mahram from that angle, but not mahram in a sense that do not show your awrat in front of him. Do not show your awrah in front of him. So mahram from the angle of don't marry, and not mahram from the angle of don't show awrah. You get it? And don't touch, right? So because the wudu will be nullified. So because there is an ambiguity here, you're unsure. Okay? Yeah. So you're not so sure, is this mahram or not mahram? So in case it's mahram, don't marry him, or don't marry him to your children, right? In case he's mahram, don't marry your kids. In case it's not mahram, and then don't show your awrat and don't touch. The kind of thing. Okay, so in a sense, you cover both angles. It's similar to ihtiyat. In case you're on menses, right, don't have intercourse. But in case you're not on menses, go and pray. Okay, you get it? Right, so that's how ihtiyat works. Mashallah. There are these rules in Islam, but you're not so sure where you're at. Right, so you act on both. Mashallah. In case this, so I'm doing this. In case that, so I'm doing that. And mashallah. And there are rulings about this, mashallah. So here she can also just act on the final normal cycle, as I mentioned. This is the other opinion. Right? The cycle is menses, days, and purity days. So the previous cycle was just 5 days. Act on that. No ihtiyat, no nothing, just okay, 5 days bathe, and then continue on that. Right? But of course, ihtiyat is basically you say on a more careful position in case you're wrong. In case you're wrong. So she takes the norm of in her menses days and not go by maximum possible menses that she's ever experienced. She takes the norm of her purity days and not go by the minimum purity only. There is no ihtiyat for her. This is the other opinion. Okay, so I hope, so those of you who are new here, those are new in this Zoom, please follow the classes from the first class because we're really going to the complicated chapters on this book, which is Istihadhah. MashaAllah. Okay, second principle. Is someone talking? Someone is talking. Mute. Okay, kita gonna force mute everybody. Sila. Huh? The slide is all online. It's all on my Google Docs. I shared the link. Okay, principle number 2, norm is also established by tamyiz that happened before that. So if she had istihadhah before, but in this istihadhah there was tamyiz, that is counted as a norm. Okay, so if you had istihadhah, right, a few months of istihadhah, but there was a month whereby the istihadhah was differentiable, and you could differentiate the bloods of istihadhah, so that becomes a norm, and that becomes a norm, right? So for example, first timer saw 5 days of black blood, then yellow blood continuously all the way for 20 days, right? Then in the next month, she saw blood that is ambiguous. So a mixture of colors, basically black, brown, red, yellow, brown, black, black, brown, red, yellow, brown, brown, brown. And then like a weird mix of colors. It is basically she's not mumayyizah. You can't tell her bloods, right? It's all over the place, right? So she can act on the previous cycle, even though it was istihadhah, but because she had mumayyizah. So her norm is 5 days blood. Right? 5 days of menses is a norm. Right? So whatever the case in the second month, right, she's given 5 days menses. So, but most women, you actually wait it out for the 15 days. If it ends within 15 days, you're safe. The whole thing menses. If it goes beyond 15 days, then now you're going to think, where did the istihadhah begin? Okay, so for most women, you actually wait it out. And you don't try and bathe on day 5, right? But you wait out the 15 days of bleeding. Tamam. Okay. Principle 3, right? What is meant by the norm of a woman is that referred to is her norm in days of menses and days of purity. This is important for those who have continuous bleeding for 40 days, 50 days, 60 days. That means the whole few months, non-stop bleeding. So where is the tahur? Right? When do you give her ruling that she's clean, and when is she in menses again? So now you go back to her norm. So for example, a person, her norm is to bleed for 6 days. Her purity is 16 days. Right? That's a norm. So hence her norm for a cycle is 22 days of cycle. 6 plus 16. So if a month comes where she bleeds continuously for 40 days, something happens, and it's continuous, no difference. It's like brown, 40 days in a row, no difference. No differentiation in the bloods. Then we go back to the norm, right? Go back to the norm of this person, right? 6 days haid, 16 days pure, then 6 days haid again, 3 days pure again. So it's 40 days, right? So in 22 days, one cycle complete. Because she has no differentiable blood. If her bloods are differentiable, like it becomes heavy, then light, then heavy, then light, you can tell where is the menses and where is istihadhah. But for this woman, it's just a little bit of brown for 40 days, no heavy flow, it's just light flow the entire time for 40 good days. So you're wondering, where's the menses? So you give her the norm, 6 days menses and 16 days clean, and then go back to 6 days menses and then 16 days clean, and she goes in this way. She follows her norm. Okay, principle 4, I have not written down principle 4. I want to finish this section today, right? So the 4th principle, right? Let me see. Okay, so Bismillah, let me straight from the book. So I have not finished. I didn't do my notes. I didn't finish doing the notes today. So I'm going to finish up the notes now. So number 4, the fourth principle. Afwan. No. Okay. Tamam. Tamam. Right. So yeah, juzu. Right. So it is that to take, so she can take her عادة and تنتقل العادة فتقدم وتأخر وتزيد وتنقص وحينئذ ترد إلى آخر ما رأت لأنه أقرب إلى شهر الاستحاضة. مثال ذلك, for example here, لو كانت عادتها 5 من أول الشهر فرأت من شهر 6 وطهرت باقية ثم رأت في الشهر الذي يليه 7 وطهرت ثم استحيضت في الثالث واستمرت الدم المبهم مميز فإنها ترد إلى آخر ما رأت وهو 7. It's a similar concept, actually, is what we've been saying all the while. Right, so for example, if a woman, right, so her ada, right, so her ada, right, it can be brought forward or it can be brought back on our experience, inshallah, and it can increase or decrease in our experience is also inshallah, right? So but the ruling is still the same ruling. You go to the very last ada, it's still the same ruling, to the very last ada, right? So like most women will have, you not say every month for sure I only have 7 days of menses. Most women don't actually have that unless you're a young teenager, whereby usually they have very fixed days of menses. Most women, you'll say 6, 7, around there, any plus minus, sometimes 8, sometimes 9. So they will say that there's a range of numbers, like of number of days of menses. So for this person, right, so the example here is that her ada is 5 days in the first month. And then second month, 6 days, right? 6 days. And she became clean, right? The rest of the month. And then the next month, she saw 7 days, right? 7 days, and she was clean. And then the month after that, she went into Istihadhah, right? So, and the Istihadhah continued. Right? From there, with blood that was not differentiable. So she goes back to the previous month, which was 7 days. Right? Similar. So actually, this fourth situation is not really a separate situation, the same thing. But basically, in case a woman says, I don't have, like a norm. It's just all over the place, a lot of different days. So what do? Just go back to the previous day. That's all. The previous month, right, of what was your norm, and you act on that. Right, so the last section here, and inshallah I'll tap up my notes inshallah soon. So here it says that ما تفعله المعتادة في الشهر الثاني. And so what should she do in the next month? So here استمر بالمعتادة الدم في الشهر الثاني وجاوز العادة اغتسلت عند مجاوزته العادة لأن علمنا من الشهر الأول أنها مستحاضة والاستحاضة تثبت بمرة فتفعل ما تفعله الطاهرات من الصلاة والصوم وسواهما وهكذا تفعل في كل شهر فإذا انقطع دمها في بعض الشهور على 15 وأقل علمنا أنها ليست مستحاضة في هذا الشهر وأن جميع ما رأته فيه حيض فتتدارك ما يجب تداركه من الصوم وغيره. Okay, tamam. So basically the last section, which I will write on my notes inshallah, is here, right? What an experienced person should do in the following months thereafter. So if someone has had menses normally, then she has a month of istihadhah, right? So now with this month of istihadhah, now what is confirmed on her is that she's a woman of istihadhah. Okay, a woman who experiences istihadhah, that is the ruling on her. Okay, so for example, let's go by names of months. Okay, so Shawwal. In Shawwal, she had 6 days of menses. Then she was clean. Then Zulqa'dah. Okay, she went beyond 15 days of bleeding. So we say to her, 6 days was your menses. You need to do qada of how many days? Like 9 days. 5 plus now. Correct. You have to do qada of 9 days. And that's a qada. Because we have to go at your ada, because since your blood can't be differentiated. The following month, right, she again her blood goes beyond 15 days. Right? It's istihadha again. Or she can assume she is going to have istihadha. She can assume she will have istihadha. So on the day 6, she can bathe and act on her ada. So she can assume that it's going to be a month of istihadha because I'm mustahadha. The previous month was istihadha. So I'm going to assume this month is istihadha, right? So she can bathe on day 6, right? And be on istihadha thereafter. Okay. Yes. Again, if there is no differentiation in the bloods. Okay, if let's say in that month, right, the blood stopped before. Inshallah, I'll write down scenarios for this situation. If the blood stopped before 15 days, right, then now she's changed her norm. She's not on istihadha anymore. She has a new norm of how many days is a norm, right? If the bloods continue past 15 days, if it does not have any differentiation in the bloods, then she keeps the 6-day norm. If the bloods have differentiation, right, then now it's her new norm what the differentiation says. So if it's differentiable at day 10 or day 11, then now her new norm is day 10, for example. Okay, so mashallah. So she has to act on every month what is the norm for her. And it could be new norms every month. Mashallah. For this woman. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. Now, so let me see this question here. Beginning of the period is weak blood for 3 or 4 days. Can you pray? No, you cannot pray. Cannot. Right? If the beginning of the period is weak blood, it is counted as menses. Weak blood is only counted if it comes after strong blood. Remember the conditions of Mumayyiza, the conditions of the one who can differentiate the bloods. One of her conditions is that the weak bloods must come after strong bloods. Right? So the weak bloods came before strong bloods, it is counted as menses because it's the prelude to the strong blood. Right? So the letting go of the strong blood. So it's part of that. So it's not istihadha, it is menses. Right? So the moment you see the colors of menses in the days of menses, that means you have finished 10 days of tuhur, of purity, you must stop praying already. You must stop praying. You cannot continue to pray and to do your umrah or to do hajj or to do tawaf or to fast and pretend and see it. You saw it. You can't or just like, no, it's so little. It's so little. No, it's counted. It's counted. You can't go on. Like you have to stop praying. Right? It's just so weak to the point that you expect. No, it is a liner. It's so tiny. And sometimes it only comes when you urinate. It doesn't come all the time. It just comes like just at that one point it came out. Then you're like, stop praying. Because you saw it. Or like Ramadan is that one moment. One drop came out. He can't fast. He can't fast.
But so that when we yourself mistake dissemination or something.
Menses. So the question is, like, nothing they force out onto your liner, onto your pad, right? But when you istinja, right, and you pull out the discharge, you see this color, menses. Tamam. Tamam. So the possible number of days means that even if it was years ago, if you want to act on the ihtiyat. So ihtiyat is a position, right? It's a position. But actually, if you have had a norm already, so maybe like years ago, maybe once upon a time you had like 14 days of menses every single month, for example. Then you move into like a 7-day menses. It becomes a new norm. Then suddenly out of nowhere, it became 20 days out of nowhere, right? You can act on what is the recent norm, right? Recent norm. But if you want to, you can do an ihtiyat as well. Right? So just say to your husband, sorry. Right, just until day whatever, okay, I'm gonna pray, but you cannot come near me, sorry. Basically there's only one person who's gonna be upset in the situation, the husband. Mashallah, no one else gonna be upset about this. Now, okay, alhamdulillah, I'm gonna go into the Padlet and see the Padlet. So long I have not opened this Padlet, mashallah. Are we sharing the correct slides? No, we're sharing the correct slides. Okay, alhamdulillah. So the next lesson, I'll go into the mutahayyirah al-mutlaqah, the completely confused woman, because a lot of issues talk about her. completely confused woman. And then we have the متحيرة الذاكرة للوقت للوقت والناسية للعدد. The one the confused woman who remembers when her menses usually comes but forgets how many days. Then المتحيرة الناسية للوقت الحيض والذاكرة للعدد. Right, so the woman who is confused, she forgets when her menses comes but remembers how many days. MashaAllah. So and then that brings us to the Istihadhah in Nifas after that. And Nifas is the exact same scenarios, 7 scenarios, exact same scenarios. So we're going to go through it quickly. Right? Only difference is the number of days. Nifas is 60 days, right? Maximum 60 days. The big misconception amongst women, they think it's 40 days. Right? Shafi'i Madhab, Nifas, 60 days max. Right? So if it goes beyond and 1 moment, yeah, minimum is 1 moment. And some women, like I said, Fatimah Zahra, they don't get any nifas, no menses. Yes, because don't bleed. Yes, give birth. So Fatimah Zahra gives birth, she takes a bath, and then she prays. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. Tamam. Okay, the question, let me just go to our topic first, I go back on questions. So I have answered questions, so I don't have to go through all of them, right? But I want to Istihadhah in menses. I go through all of this. How do I go down? Okay. Okay, so you can see that I have colored it green. That means I've answered all the questions here. These are not answered. Okay, they are answered. Okay, how about, okay, I'm just going to go through these ones first. The previous ones, right? Chapter 6, 7, 5, all that, right? I will answer them and leave the answers there, but I will not go through the questions because we've gone through the chapters, right? So all the ones that are not green, that means I've not answered them, right? But I will answer them and then but you have to just read it yourself, okay? So I won't go through them, right? But I especially, this one, the rules of Istihadhah. So I'm going to go through here. Right, I want to go to the one that is white. So heavy bleeding Istihadhah, can Istihadhah be very heavy? Yes, it can. I've had moments when my bleeding after 15 days of head is quite heavy because IUD, one of the causes of Istihadhah, right? IUD device, right? Also pills, right? They can cause Istihadhah. As I mentioned, my student who took the pills, then she had draggy menses. So instead of her menses being her normal 7 days, it became 20 days of draggy. Right, because of the pills. Right, so really, the things that will cause your body to go into haywire, right, because of all these things. Yeah, right. So it is heavy, and the blood keeps flowing even before I leave the toilet right after taking wudu. Right, or I'm still praying outside. The blood is still flowing while I'm putting on my hijab. Right, still flowing. MashaAllah. Right, skin. Is it okay for me to just continue to pray even though it's coming out? Yes. This is called Istihadhah. It is called Da'imul Hadath. You are literally Da'imul Hadath because you're continuously flowing. I went into the situation of the one who is not continuously flowing. Because a lot of women, they think they are continuously flowing, but they're not. Right? A lot of women, our Istihadhah is a little bit. It only comes when you urinate. Most of the time, it's dry. Right? So you actually pray a normal prayer of Tahara. Right? You don't actually pray as Da'imul Hadath, as continuous Hadath. But for this woman, she is continuously bleeding. That is called Da'imul Hadath. So this is why your wudu has to be after the coming of the prayer time. You must do istinja, you must do hashu, you must do ta'assuf. Basically, you need to stop the blood however you can. Put a pad, put a tampon, try best to fix it. Right, I had a question, someone asked a question about using tampons instead of using menstrual cups. Okay, the difference between tampons and menstrual cups, right? So menstrual cups is all the way in you, nothing comes out of you, so there is nothing that is manifest that is connected to najis, because inside you there is discharge, there is najis. Tampons have a string that is dangling. The string has najas on it. You urinate and stuff like that. It's quite disgusting. I can go to the string of a tampon and and even if there's no urine on a string, you have something that is connecting you to the najasa inside of you. That is why you can't pray with a tampon, right? You cannot. But with menstrual cup, you can. If you're using the menstrual cup to hold discharge, that one you can. Tampon, no, you can't, because the string is dangling. Huh? Pull your string in. Right, take out the tampon. You can take out the tampon. Please. You can find a string. Okay, if you can put the whole thing, Basically, the ruling is if you squat and you wipe yourself, you don't feel a single thing, can.
Fine, then what is it like from?
It's easy. Okay, never mind. I find cup very easily. I use the cup if I need to like pray on the go and have like so many classes in between, and I can't. I want to keep my wudu. Yes, yes, because otherwise you will break your wudu by touching your private. No, right. So, mashallah. Right, so another question. So she said, I had same issue with another type of contraception. And for a valid period to stop the blood from coming out of the vagina, yes, right, use the menstrual cup or you can put pads, right, to prevent the blood. And oh, I answered, tamam. Answer in the, okay, tamam. I mentioned to prevent the blood from coming out. Otherwise, your periods will not be will not be valid. Okay, no. I was being glass. The last part is a bit inaccurate. Okay, the last part is a bit inaccurate. Now, so depending, it actually depends, right? So for someone, right? So basically, if you have continuous flow in blood, okay, right? What the scholars have said is that if you can, and I know some women they cannot put anything up there. Like even though they're married and they have like, kids coming out of there, like, they just don't know how to put anything up there. They have like how many children already? 4 kids. and you won't put anything up there. 4 kids come out. MashaAllah. Right, so that woman not like that. They just can't put anything up there. Right. So which is why you won't say it's invalid. You won't say it's invalid, right? But Allah hasab. It's Allah hasab meaning depending. It's depending. Now, right? So so if you can stop the blood, right, by putting something up, right, like a tampon or a menstrual cup, right, to stop the flow, right, then do that. But if you can't do that, there is a leeway of using a pad. Right, because there are women that just cannot for their life, they can't put anything out there, right? Especially if it's someone who has never who's not married, a virgin. So virgins, they just can't. Like for example, but still she has a contraceptive, she's not a virgin anyway, right? But in case for a virgin, like she has operation or whatsoever, then for her, or sometimes younger women, when you're all old women, you cannot do it. A problem of fear, this fear of putting things up there, mashallah. But I know many women have 4 or 5 kids and all vaginal birth, you're scared to put anything up there. Mashallah. Mashallah, Ibrahim. Now, excited, menses. Mashallah. Right, so now, so I explained that. And so basically, it's not invalid, but basically do the best you can to control the blood flow. Right, so either by putting something up, or you can place a pad if you really cannot. Right, so and Islam has that leeway, and this is mentioned by the scholars. So did I answer this one? No. Okay. Now. Oh, he likes this thing. Yeah. Yes, cotton wool. The menstrual cup. Yes, tampon, yes. But cotton wool, yes. So cotton wool, you need to have it kind of like stuck there, otherwise it goes in and you can't get it. But the thing about it is that the canal is quite long. So if you put cotton wool there, if it goes in, you have to search for it, where is it? And try and pull it out. Yeah, now. Otherwise, you just yes. Yes, that is the original ruling of stuffing it and then putting a pad. That is the ruling. But there is a leeway for those who cannot stuff. There are those who just cannot stuff. Right. So then there is a leeway of pad. As long as the blood does not seep through and dirty things around you. Right. But there is a leeway. There is a leeway for those who really, really for their life cannot do it. Right. So there is a leeway. Right. I mean, there is all under the rahmah, right? The merciful laws of Islam. That for some women, they just cannot do it. They try their best to put something up there, they just cannot do it. Mashallah. If you try to see if you can do it, mashallah, try. I mean, for me, the menstrual cup is just easy. Yeah, tamam. Right. Okay, good question here. Does this mean that if we have istihadhah and we use a menstrual cup all day, we can hold our wudu with the whole day? Yes, the answer is yes. So the whole thing of menstrual cup is so awesome. No, it's not big. Yeah, Allah. It's silicone. You fold it. No. You fold it. You take the menstrual cup, you fold it, and you put it up. You fold it. They have it on YouTube how to use a menstrual cup. They have something called a menstrual disc as well. A disc is more flat, right? So you press it in half. It's very thin. The whole of this it becomes this thin. Then you slide it in. So it's like a disc that sits at your pubic bone. Yeah. So the blood comes out or the discharge out and sits in the disc. So a cup is a cup that goes around the cervix, right? The disc it slides in and it just flips up at your pubic bone. I think it's got pubic bone. I don't know. Right. So yeah. So this is actually easier. But I find that it pressures against my bladder. So then you always want to go to the toilet. Huh? It's very easy. So it's basically you put it in and you tuck it up. So you just put it up and you put it up. So maybe you want to try a disc. There are moves there. Yeah, so the menstrual cup, why talk so much? And the menstrual Ibrahim, menstrual disc. Everybody is talking, right? And he's interested in the screen. Now, if you can, yeah, it is a hack. I do use the menstrual cup for my umrah. Whenever I mean at Tarawih, I want to keep my do Qiyamul Lail. So I do use the menstrual cup. But I don't know, people find it difficult and like you all find it difficult and scary. You know. So much as long as it's inside, yeah, nothing's coming out. Yeah, it does not come out. It's two different holes. No. It doesn't come out. It does not come out when you urinate or when you no, it does not come out. Different holes. Yeah, you have the yes, the tampon, the pee goes on the string. Yeah, so you're walking around with pee. Yeah. Okay, yellow after 15 days. So this person says if the color is very light yellow, like the amount that I said, almost there, it still says depending, is this yellow blood or yellow discharge? You must differentiate blood and discharge. Blood has a different texture. It smears. It's plasma, maybe the plasma of blood. Right? Discharge has a thickness to it. Right? There is this like you can actually hold it. It's a jarum. Everybody jarum. You can actually hold it. There's like a body to it. It's different, eh? Right. So you tell me what this yellow is. It's not. I can't say it's message straight away. It could be discharge. So then if the same color conditions are different days of menses, does it mean that it is yellow blood? You need to see the texture. Right? Is it blood or discharge? Discharge has it's more like yogurt kind of thing. Like yogurt, right? Blood is more of like turmeric water, for example. It's very it's plasma, so it smears. It smears. It's different. You can see the difference between the blood and the discharge. If you still can't see it, then dua that Allah shows you which one is the blood. Maybe one day you're like, hey, this is the blood. This one isn't it? Is it discharge? And now I get it. Mashallah. I was supposed to take a picture. I was supposed to do a mock using turmeric, not someone's real discharge, but using turmeric. I should do it. So like normal yogurt that you eat, just the normal lemon yogurt or something, and that's discharge. So that affects your tuhur. What's that? Yes, correct. The colored discharge is from your diet as well. If you're having colored discharge all the time, like yellow discharge, that means you're not healthy. Like, why are you having yellow all the time? Like, you should be seeing white discharge, right? Or colorless, white or colorless. If you're always seeing yellow, you're not healthy. It's not normal to see yellow discharge. However, Mariam should be, you're all having so much discharge because you're all Asians, and your soup and your curry and your, your green, you're all so wet in your food, right? So you're always having discharge. Right? The Arabs eat all dry food. They're so dry in their food. So we have no discharge. You all in your soup and your whatever. So she was, your kuah. Always have kuah here and kuah there. Your curry, your gravy, your sambal. Sambal's okay. What's wrong with my we can't stop it. Mashallah, Hazim was saying that in the Mustafa, her teacher was saying that sambal is the rukun ta'am for the Asians. It's like a rukun of prayer, a rukun of eating for the Asians. They must have sambal, must. If not, the food is not sah. Mashallah. So yeah, you cannot eat it, you cannot swallow. There's no sambal. Yeah, now it's keropok. It's sambal and keropok.
Yeah.
Then it's ya Allah. See how the Chinese are all like, you Asians. Mashallah. So this one, now, and what I do coordinate. So this, yeah, tahara, yes, correct. Yes, you can get tahara. So of istibahah, now. Yes, correct. So the question here is, online, the question here is that if your istihadhah is not continuous, but it comes out every now and then, you know that you can go for a few hours, it won't come out, especially not moving so much, right? You can, and you should in fact niyat tahara, right? And pray as tahara, right? Because it's not continuous flow, right? After this, you must do ghusl, definitely. Then you need to figure out when your istihadhah began, in the 15 days, and do a qada of all the prayers that you missed. So whenever, the rule is whenever your bleeding goes beyond 15 days, you must bathe already, because you can't not pray for more than 15 days unless you're on nifas, right? Then the next step is figure out how many days you need to qada or prayers. Then you qada later on lah. Huh? Later I will let your istihadhah. You must figure out when istihadhah began. You must figure out when your istihadhah began. No, not after 15 only. You must go back and figure it out. Okay, this person. Okay, this person, red, bismillah. Okay, red color here, red until 7. Tamam. And then yellow, then white. And then, this is what color? Pink, Let's see. Alright, and when I see the color, the blood and what color it is, so the blood is weak. To get menses because this is Quran, and then my experience at the 20 was heavy. It's other because this purity had not passed. Okay, tamam. What color is this? Is it pink? Is it pink? And there's a pink here. And then there is red, dark red, and yellow. Okay. Okay, now that means your menses ended here on day 14, because it's within the 15 days, correct? Right, so it's day 14 now. So when the heavy flow appeared, that means that you're on your bucket to hold quite a lot, mashallah. Right, so it's 1 to 15, that means all your heavy flow was all your menses. Skin, which means that you gotta figure out what's going on here and try and cure yourself. Right, but you're correct, you ended your menses here. And here is purity in istihadhah, correct? And then new menses began here. Right, but you need to figure out what happened here, okay, with this situation, right? Why are you bleeding there, and find solution for that. Tamam. Okay. I have istihadhah. How do I differentiate between the time of istihadhah and menstruation? So we went through this entire lesson, right? Right. So basically you have to go onto your ada, go and find your ada or tamiz. Go and see if there's a blood is reversible. We've gone through it previously. Tamam. So if I'm wrong, can the blanket statement of 10 days still apply to everyone? No. So once you go past 15 days, you must wajib look back on the days and see where the istihadhah began. You must. All right. Yes, the messenger has stopped within the 15 days, and the istihadhah have begun, and therefore we have gone through this in this chapter. How we discern is the entire chapter. Okay. Right, the entire chapter, that is what we have been doing. How do we discern was the entire chapter. Obviously, all these questions all came before I finished the chapter. So wait for me to finish the chapter first, then you come and ask your questions. Okay, because it's all covered in the chapter, right? So uh uh sushi 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 طهارة يعني طهور يعني all of these things you need to tell me the days. I can't give you any answer if you're not telling me what day is this. Day what? Right? You tell me clear, blood come out. What day are you on? I don't know. And in fact, we've covered this also before that there are I will answer that. Anybody that's within days of within 20 days of menses is menses. But if it goes beyond so any period that is in between is part of the menses. If it goes beyond, right, if it goes beyond 15 days, right, you must, right, look back. You must look back. Hold on. At the 15 days and discern when the Istihadhah is look at the begin. Okay, right? So before do lecture. Okay. Tamam. Okay, inshallah we'll stop there for today. And then next lesson I'll try and answer I'll try and this I think I've answered most of the questions. So you can, if you've asked your questions, I think most of them I've answered. If I'm not answered, I'll answer them inshallah soon. Barakallahu fikum, Afwan. For those of you who are new, those who are new here, this class has been going on since February, I think. So I would say to refer to the previous lessons that is on YouTube. I have to get yourself right, inshallah, right, so mashallah. Yeah, I know when many women have been given birth and they still cannot put anything up there. Up their privates, still cannot. You all have husbands, still the cars and everything, and still nothing can go up there. Ya Allah. Yeah, but I know of those who are virgin, when I speak about istinja and you have to wash the mouth of your vagina, they're like, how? I said, you need to wash. He says, discharge there. I'm like, how? It's not that hard. Your finger is small. Use your pinky. It's not hard at all. It's not, subhanAllah. Question.
So let's just start at the basis.
Was it?
The girl, and they have this 6 days. They were putting them up this Saturday. Do they just wash for a few months from the surgery?
No, the norm is just the previous month. No. So, yeah. So every month, the previous month is a norm. It's just that. Right. So this question here, permission to put on the menstrual cup before Fajr, leave it the whole day till Maghrib if you want to fast, and if it's relationships, yes, you can. So you put the cup before you begin fasting, and you leave it the entire day. Can, no problem. Right. But if you reach in to put it out, your fasting breaks. You break your fast. Okay, but if you put it before Fajr and you leave it there, you're like someone who has like a device inside your womb anyway, and fasting Ramadan. Many women have that. They have the IUD device. Yeah, and they fast. I have something inside of them. As long as it's not placed inside while you are fasting. If it's while you're fasting, then it breaks your fast. Okay, we'll start for today, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin. Because you're gonna reach in to take it out. Okay, force it on its own is okay. It's like urinating lah. The urinating, it comes on you by itself. But if you put your finger in, then you break your wudu. Every wudu, like break your fasting. Yeah, tampon if you want, but yeah lah, but disgusting lah. I find tampon so disgusting. Right, and it's so like it dries out your insides and a lot of issues with tampons. Right, you read about cup lah. بدل الهدى ويسر به النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الرحيم علي من المشايخ وزاوي حبك علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الفاتحة. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ibrahim, you like to see the screen? All the screen down here. So fun, so funny.